good. It's a very hot day today, I know, but it's better than rain. So it's wonderful to see you all here from the Alevi community coming out for this 23rd Anatolian Alevi festival and the feast, of course, of Abd al-Musa, which is very, very important for the Alevi people here in Australia and throughout the world and in Turkey, of course. I want to start by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people, the indigenous people of this land and their elders past and present. It's important we do that because they were here indigenous to this country from the beginning of time, and it's a matter of respect for them. We know that the Feast of Abd al-Musa has been celebrated since the 14th century, and his philosophy of loving one another, sharing the wonders of the world and helping the less fortunate are universal values that should be spread across the world. And I know many Alevi friends of mine who are peace-loving people, and it is more than just a philosophy, it's a way of life, a spiritual path that you traverse in your lives to follow this example. And there are, of course, the moral code, the history of the Alevis, summarised in, I think if I pronounce it correctly, Elin, Dilin and Belin. I know these are the codes that you follow throughout your lives in spreading that message of love and hope and help to others. I also come from a religious minority. I'm a Copt from Egypt. We are about 15 million out of 85 million in Egypt. So I have some understanding of the struggles of religious and ethnic minorities in the region, similarly as the Alevi people have struggled throughout their history. And so I can understand the obstacles and the challenges that the Alevi community have faced in Turkey, but also in the diaspora community to fight for social justice, to fight for human rights, to fight for equality for all minorities, for all people. And this is a really important example of the Alevi community's struggle here in Australia. You've made an enormous contribution to this country, and you've faced persecution in Turkey, obviously, and now we enter into a part of history, I think, where we all must stand up against divisiveness, against hatred, against bigotry. And if we see sexism or misogyny or racism or discrimination based on one's religion, we have to stand up. We have to say no. We have to actually have our voices heard to loud and clear for social justice, for human rights, for equality before the law, regardless of one's religion, one's ethnicity, one's race, one's sexual preference or gender. These are things that we have to stand up for, particularly in this time in history. We're going to go through a difficult period, and it's all of our responsibility, the responsibility of the political leaders like Khalil, and I see Senator Kim Carr and many other politicians who've come today. These are struggles that they have been fighting all their life, on the good cause that they fight for diversity that we have in Australia. My parents came here 47 years ago from Egypt. They built a better life for themselves and for their children, much like all the Alevis that came here from Turkey. You built a life for you and for your children to have a better life, a life of equality, a life of fairness, a life where you can achieve and your children can achieve based on their merit and their hard work, not because of their ethnic or their religious background, that you could be disadvantaged because of that. And this is, I think, the great story about Australia and Australian multiculturalism, which we all have a responsibility to defend and fight for. Millions of Australians have come to this country, have fought hard to build this multicultural society that we all enjoy. And it's a diversity that makes us stronger. We embrace the diversity of this country, wherever we come from, whatever our background, whatever our belief system, because it makes us a better country. And we constantly have to educate the new and coming generations about the importance of embracing this diversity. And this is what makes Australia such a great country. I don't have to choose my identity. I can be proud to be a Copt, to be an Egyptian, of Egyptian background, but I can be proud to be an Australian as well. Just as you can be proud to be Alevi, proud to be of your Turkish background, proud of your ethnic and religious backgrounds, and be great Australians as well. I'm recently elected to the seat of Wills, the federal parliament, so I recognise the responsibility I have to keep talking and representing the Alevi community and many other communities and defending the multicultural model that so many before us have built, so many generations have built. I believe in equality of opportunity. I believe in access to education, to affordable health care and social justice. These are things that we all share as core values, and I know that the Alevi community keep the flame alive, the light of the messages of Abdul Musa and your religious and spiritual traditions for that social justice and for human rights, both in Turkey and here. I want to conclude by thanking Susan Saka, the President of the Alevi Community Council of Australia, and Serdal Sina, President of the Alevi Federation of Australia, for having me here today to acknowledge all of the political leaders that are here. I mentioned Senator Kim Carr, Fiona from the Federal Parliament, Fiona Patton from the State Parliament, Khalil Ide, the Deputy President of the State Upper House, and Olivia Carley-Hannon, newly elected Councillor. We're all here today because we believe in the diversity that makes us who we are. And I know that the Alevi community will continue to hold that flame alive and light the way for social justice for not only your children and your generation, but for all Australians. I wish you all well for the feast of Abdul Musa. Tashakkur Ederim.